Okay, everyone, welcome to your Global Intelligence Update. The first one for me in 2026. I am so excited to be talking to you all because we actually in a incredible time in history. We are at a time where we are seeing unprecedented things in the sky, and if that's happening, that must mean that it's matching and mirroring unprecedented things happening within us at the moment as well. So I'm going to talk to you today specifically about time. But before I get into that, just let me know, how are you doing? Is there anyone who want to share something? Maybe something about your week? Are you feeling time warped? Is there anything that's strange for you at the moment? Is time running out for you? Do you feel you have enough time? I want to know what you're actually emotionally experiencing at the moment. Anyone? Who's going to put their hand up?
I'll kick off. Can you
Who's
hear
there?
me?
Yes,
It's
clearly,
Claire.
Claire. How are you
Yes.
doing?
Hi, Landi. Good, thanks. I'm just going to share that I've just moved, and what it's done to time is quite weird. It's not linear time. It's time to focus on get your head into. So for literally 6 weeks, I have been moving. That's how I've spent time. And suddenly I've had to swing it around and go, okay, there is other stuff. It's sort of that what I call living sideways, how you use your time. Um, so this last week has been fantastic. I've managed now to balance the two and unpack some stuff and get myself back into the swing of work as well. So yeah, it's been very interesting. As I say, not linear time, but going that way in time, and where you spend your time is then what occupies your complete being, I mean, interesting.
Yeah, when you go through something like that, it's almost like you feel that our perception of time is warped because always you say, I never have enough time, I never have enough time. And then you move and then you somehow fit that in as well, but you never have enough time. So how did you make time for that? Or we see this happens many times where there's some sort of trauma or something happening in our life, and you never have time, and then suddenly something happened and it works, time sort of fits around that as well. And so that is definitely the concept we're going to talk about. But Claire, welcome to your new home. Where did you move to?
Thank you. I moved literally 2 k's down the road. For um, I live in Joburg. I lived in Linden, and I
Yeah.
moved to Cresta, just down the road. Two reasons: rising damp in the other place, which was never going to be fixed properly, and I can't deal with mold. I'm very allergic to stuff like that, so I thought,
Oh,
good. And also a bit of a new beginning for me. This year is, oh, it'll be a very long story, but cut it very short. It's the year of the fire horse, and I am a fire horse, so it's
oh
it's
God.
going on.
Well, you're like, thanks, Landi. Well, it's interesting. I don't know what people have said to you, but if you in the year that your sign is in, they call it your performance review.
Oh,
So it's
oh
almost
goodness. Okay.
it's almost like what happens. Everything gets reviewed, everything gets looked at, everything gets scrutinized. You go, do I want these people in my life? Don't I want these people in my life? Is this really who I am or is not who I am? So it's gained some. I would say it's become quite unpopular towards people when it's their year because they think it's just bad things is going to happen to you. It's actually quite the contrary. It's a full performance review with the idea to move to the next level of evolution. I mean, I'm a snake, and we're about to leave the year of the woods, the year of the wood snake. So I wouldn't say it was a year of bad things happening, but it has definitely been a year of a lot of inner self-reflection, more than usual, much more than usual, in order to determine what is real and what's not real. So I think it's going to be a wonderful year for you of self-reflection and changes. And you're already seeing that actually with your move. So there's your start. There's already your start.
So many, many years of self-reflection. I think we could do without one. But interestingly enough,
Very good.
always ties up. So if you have astrologically, if you look at Western astrology or Chinese astrology, and I'm a numerologist, so I will look at the numerological side. I'm in a 9-year, which means tying everything up. But then the planet's in a 1-year, so you're going to move with the planetary energy of 1 as well. And I tend to piggyback on that. So by September, which is kind of your 9-month in a 9-year, that's when everything ties up and then the new beginnings come in. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be
Absolutely. Thank you for
fun.
sharing, Claire. I think
Sure.
so too. It all depends on how we view things, isn't it? Now, can you see my slides?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what does it look like? Because I can see you, but I can't see my own slides.
Looks like a presentation with the slides down the side.
So can you see all of you? You can see the slides.
Yeah.
That's funny because I can't see myself, but I can see you. That's really weird. So I'm just going to quickly see. I can see myself now, but I can't see. So I'm just going to quickly see if I can fix it here.
It just looks like it's not in presentation mode, Lan.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop again and share again. And then, because I've got some interesting stuff I want to share with you today. I'm just going to ask you to tell me what you see now. Okay, you should be seeing the slides now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, still down the side. Just like a normal presentation.
Okay, I'm just stopping it again. Okay.
Let's play and see what happens, Lan.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So me and Mike, with our travels over the years, has really picked up on patterns. And you can't pick up on these patterns if you travel once or twice or, a few times a year. You have to repeat something over and over and over again to start picking up on things that makes people excellent. And in many respects, this is why we've called the company Circle of Excellence, because we look for these excellent people as far and wide as we go. And after so many countries and travel and hanging out with these people, you start to see certain behaviors in people. And it's super interesting because you have to be able to not judge the face or the occupation or the type of industry a person is to find these common denominators. And it's something that's becoming increasingly interestingly for me is that what is the type of person who plays a bigger game and what is the definition of a person who plays a bigger game? Because you can look really great on social media, right? And you can have a very well-designed website, but when you go home, you don't show up in front of your children, or your siblings barely want to talk to you, or your relationship is just not working. So excellent for me is becoming something that is, I don't want to say as important as what happens behind the scenes, as what happens online. It's something that's more important almost in terms of what happens behind the scenes than the way you show up in public, because it's basically how you act when people are not looking. It's how you act where people are not 100% aware of what you're doing and how you're behaving. That's sometimes careful of charity and those type of places, because a lot of people get into those spaces because people are looking, So what I'm putting in front of you today as excellence is asking yourself how you behave in these areas when people are not looking. And I mean, bless you, maybe just put your mutes on. If you can just mute your audio, it will help. But whoever sneezed, bless you. Bless you. Might be a good year of the horse for you. So so what I talk to you about is we talk about conscious leadership a lot, and in our travels we've come across a lot of things that makes a person, in our view, a conscious leader. Me and Mike like to share many times that even though we found many incredible people already all over the world with incredible characteristics who display excellence, our goal remains that we want to find 432 people. We want to find 432 people who's really stepping up. They can be stepping up in the form of education. They can be stepping up in the form of, like you, Shazar, was a water warrior. They can be stepping up in the area of medicine or holistic healing. They can be stepping up in, like you, Claire, understanding of numerology and helping people have insight in that, whatever. And so out of those, that 432 leaders, conscious leaders that we're looking for, people who we believe can make a huge impact on this planet, I would say we've only found about 100 so far. So we're still looking. And these are the traits we look for. It's not stuff I've really, me or Mike has discussed with you before, because this is a lot of the behind the scenes stuff happen. This is a lot of our qualifying criteria, and it's certainly not an extensive list. But we look for people, who are willing to form partnerships. You're not going to be a leader with a massive impact if you sit at home watching Netflix all the time. You have to really dig deep and find the courage to collaborate and hold hands with other people in order to bring a message out into the world. You have to be someone who believes in movement. If you can stagnate and not do stuff that get you out of your rut, which we all get into, you're not necessarily going to create that impact. You have to have focus and know your essence. And so these are things I think I'm going to commit to this year with the Global Intelligence Update, to dig a little bit into, to say, okay, let's look at it. Let's look at what intentional movement means. Let's look at what it means to speak with authority, and how can you start doing that? And what does it mean to be a go-giver instead of a go-getter? And what does heightened intuition mean, and all that stuff? So, but that's not what I'm going to get into today. I want to touch on one specifically. But before I get into that, some of you on the call know me, and some of you on the call might not know me or don't know me that well. I just want to give you a little bit of perspective why these things are so incredibly interesting to me. Now, I started my career actually as an academic. I'm actually very passionate about academic. It's really weird being an entrepreneur, and many times we talk about, you don't need qualifications, and we live in a world where entrepreneurial traits is valued more, or sometimes equally, sometimes more than academic. But I love studies, and I love picking up on patterns and stuff like that. So I started there with industrial psychology. So human behavior has always been very important to me. And when I got to my master's degree, I really, really wanted to understand human behavior from an astrological point of view. But they didn't allow me to do a master's degree in behavioral patterns linked to astrology. So I just went the corporate route and really saw my ass big time, like many of us on this call. I went and did the corporate thing. I had this whole view of myself with my suitcase and my high heels, and did everything I had to do to step on other people's heads to get onto the top. And I got to the top very quickly. Some of you might know even that I was considering even a career in the secret services, and then got involved in drug busts and all sorts of stuff. But I did get to a point in corporate where I one day looked at myself in the mirror and thought, boy, oh boy, you're an ugly thing. You've become an ugly creature. You got power, and you are doing court cases, and it's all high flying, but I lacked meaning. And so I've got the shower here because a day came when I said, look, please show me my purpose. I actually had my shower moment. I don't know how many of you have your shower moments where you're in the shower and you go, oh God, whatever I'm doing is actually not working. I need to change my direction. And that really, that request, take me towards my purpose, really sent me on a spiritual quest. And that's why when I'm sitting here today and I'm talking to you about human behavior and what we can do to change our human behavior for the better, I really come from a spiritual curiosity. I come from a industrial psychology, human behavioral point of view, but I also come from a very spiritual curiosity. And that's why I'm so freaked out in a positive way about what's happening astrologically at the moment, because on the 20th of February this year, we're going to see a planetary alignment, a grand trine that the astrologist has not seen in the history of our species yet. What does that mean? It means they've got software now with the help of AI that can take them 6,000 to 8,000 years back. That same software can take them 6,000 to 8,000 years into the future, and they've not seen this grand trine. A grand trine is just a triangle with very significant planets, four specifically. The planet Neptune coming together with the planet Saturn, which is crazy because Neptune is all about imagination and whatever is not real, and Saturn is all about what is very real. So think about Neptune as, oh, I have all these dreams, and one day I want to be this, one day I want to be a film star. And Saturn is about, well, you've dreamed about it all your life, and now suddenly the dream becomes reality. Or your bubble get bursts, and you go into some sort of X Factor thing, and they tell you, look, you will never be a film star. So that is the type of thing that happens when these two planets come together. Either a dream, Neptune, that you had drops into manifestation, almost like The Secret. Remember when we used to watch The Secret and everyone said, believe and you will achieve. We're in a time where that's possible, actually, where it can drop into reality, or you get a reality check. That's the opposite. You thought you could be a film star, but you're not going to be a film star. So that's why a lot of people are experiencing a type of warping of time at the moment, and is not sure what's going on. At the same time, while these two planets are coming together, Neptune and Saturn, you also have Uranus moving in, the planet of sudden change and shock. They describe it as a thunderbolt. So it's, something happened. You get discovered, and you get this massive contract, or you meet this person and they're the love of your life, and you go, what? Or you have property in a portfolio and suddenly all of them sell and you go, gosh, I can retire. What happened? Or, something happens that's life-changing. I have a friend who was very high up in corporate, and then suddenly she watched a documentary on the whales getting killed, and overnight changed her life and became a sea shepherd. And everyone was like, what the hell are you doing? And so that type of stuff, this is the type of stuff where this thing happened. And then you also have Pluto moving in, and Pluto really is known for death and rebirth and revolution. So if you've got these four coming together, you're quite in for a treat, I would say. So that's why it is not possible for me at this stage of my life to separate psychology, if we talk about Jung and Freud and those guys, from spiritual philosophy and what's happening from a planetary point of view, and what's happening in terms of our own apocalypse, if you may. And it's interesting, if you go and look at the Greek meaning of apocalypse, so apocalypse is a type of an unfolding. So I think what I want to say is that you'll be experiencing quite the unfolding, as I started to experience in the shower when I was thinking about these things. So the problem we're having at the moment, regardless of the planets and the cycles, is we are running out of time. I hear it everywhere. I don't have time. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I want to do this. I don't have time. How many of you hear that all the time, or are feeling like that at the moment? If you're feeling time is accelerating, or you're running out of time, you never have time for what you want to do. And I find that is actually quite universal at the moment. So this running out of time is planetary, but to say it's only planetary would to imply that you're not in control of your life. And I think there's been so many things happening in the world, and I think there's been so much focus on what's happening with the planets, that it's easy for us to remember that we are still very much in control of our own destiny and our own fate. And there is a lot of things that is in our hands, and especially how we respond to things, and more importantly, so how we respond to things proactively. So me and you sitting on this call, has got the exact amount of time than, some of the people on this planet that's having huge impact. People with 10 companies, 20 companies, 30 companies. I'm not saying that is my definition of success. I'm saying those people, whether they're good or bad in your view, that owns all these companies, many of them also owns, because of those companies, impact on a massive level. They don't even realize sometimes they have impact on a massive level, because they just simply take X amount of their money and put it towards a cause. Many times they don't even want to, but they want to look good in the paper. But the fact of the matter is they're still putting it towards a cause, and they're still changing people on a mass time. So, or on a mass space. So what I'm saying is that if we are going to be conscious leaders, and if we're going to play a bigger game, and we're going to want to make an impact, we're going to have to re-look at the way we look at time. And we're going to have to become more the masters of time, as opposed to falling into this hamster wheel of never having time. So I got a formula there for you, and I don't want to stick to it for too long, because I want to actually chat with you and hear what you have to say. But and here's the formula, and I think this is going to be one of our big formulas for the year. And this is the formula that will give you time to think. I think one of the biggest superpowers you can have is to create the type of space in your life where you can actually think. You can think what you're doing, think about your life, think at your reactions, and think about the direction in which you're going, as opposed to just fall into another year. And many of us has already fallen into the year, but there's good news, because Chinese New Year has not started, so you sort of have another chance, and that's clicking over on the 17th. And it is clicking over from the snake, which is a little more of a lazy thing, sitting there on its couch, eating its grapes and just shedding its skin, as opposed to the horse that's really forward movement and change and things happening faster. So what I'm talking about here is the absolute luxury, because it's a luxury these days, to, get up in the morning and groom the brain. That's almost what I want to say. We are so taught to groom the skin, and we're taught to groom the body by taking a shower, and we're taught by grooming ourselves in so many ways, but we don't groom the brain. We just let the brain go, we just let other people put in that brain whatever the hell they want. You wake up and you answer 1,000 emails. You wake up and you scroll until your brain burns out on social media. You wake up and you direct and control kids and spouses, and, the day just goes. It just runs. And before you see it, you're in midday, you're exhausted, you eat your croissant, your blood spike, you completely deprived of energy by end of the day, and then rinse and repeat. And I want to stop you from doing it again this year, by saying that 80% of the stuff you're doing at the moment you shouldn't be doing. It's not your job. It's someone else's job that you're taking away from them. Which sounds crazy, because you're going, but Landi, no one can do the job as good as I can. And that's BS. That's not true. There's people out there, there's virtual assistants that can do what you do 10 times better. But I'm not just talking about actual work you're doing. I'm talking about your hours and hours of scrolling. You're sitting, and I want you to measure that now every day. You're sitting and you are quickly showering, or quickly putting your makeup on, or quickly shaving, or doing it, whatever you do, and then you're jumping from the one task to the other. But there's no time for strategic thinking. There's no time for you to be the eagle and rise above what you're doing. There's no time to have a tea ceremony. And what I find people do is they've invented now this time in the morning in order to get the day starting, because they're now spiritual, but they're spending that time in the morning with stuff they absolutely hate. I know people who hate journaling. This is no joke, right? I know people who hate meditation. So they've heard somewhere a bell ring, And that bell says, if you want to evolve and be spiritual, you have to journal, you have to meditate, but it's not everyone's cup of tea, you know? So I want to ask you, first and foremost, what do you really like doing? What really gives you joy? You know, for me, it's dancing. So if I'm not going to dance in the morning, I don't have joy. Dancing is going to serve me 10 times more than meditation. You know, it's a club every morning in our hotel room. I'm saying hotel room because we don't live at home most of the time. So I'm pumping that freaking speaker every morning. Mike puts literally the blanket over his head. And most mornings, Mike says to me, softer, my darling, softer, you wake me. I'm pumping. I'm in the club every morning. That's how I want to live my life, you know, in the club. And I love, it's not just about the dancing. I love finding that playlist and then play that music. And then the next thing I really love is smells. I mean, who has discovered this bum cream smell at the moment? It's this something Gennaro bum cream. It's the best smelling stuff I've ever smelled in my entire life. So having that dance experience, I'm in my club, you know, I pump the music, I spray that stuff on me that smells so nice after my shower. And then, you know, I have my tea ritual, for example, that sets me up. And it doesn't just set me up for the day, it makes me think. I think that I want to do with this day. And I think I got it perfectly right. I'm giving an example of what it can be like for you. And then I don't only think, what can my day be like? I try and figure out how to do as little as possible. Do as little as possible. Give the stuff over to a team. I'm not talking about employees. I'm talking about the thousands of options that's out there for you to give other people opportunities. You know, there's people around the world who's disabled. They'll never get a job. They'll never get a job. No one's going to hire them. You can go to them and at a very reasonable rate say, look, can you do stuff for me? I know you can't hear, but is there a way we can sort of make this work, right? You can go to students and say, look, let's build your CV. You're going to work 6 months for me and do stuff for me, but I'm telling you, when we're done, you can have some good skills and you get a job. You'll get people who will volunteer for you around the world because they need your skills. You'll get people out in the world who will barter with you, who'll say, help me with this and let's do this in return. You'll get strategic partners and strategic alliances. There's people on this call here who would share a resource with you. We're now entering the world of virtual assistants, now transferring to AI employees. We're getting into AI employees. And I heard such a funny thing this morning because apparently the CEOs of the world are celebrating from around the world like never before, that now they're going to have all their staff fired and they're all going to have AI employees. And these AI employees is not going to make one mistake. But no one is telling the CEOs they are always also getting fired. so it's not just them, you know, it's everyone's going through these changes. So, but in all the talk we've heard, one of the things that's really standing out about AI and people losing their jobs, whatever, is that communities and people sticking together is now more hotter than ever before. So you have that opportunity now to build a team of people around you, 4 people, 5 people, who's all exchanging skills, who's all helping each other, who's all contributing. You know, all I'm asking you is to go and have a meeting with 5 people you know. Start there. 5 people you know. Get coffee, get muffins, get wine, whatever floats your boat, right? Put 5 people around the table and have a discussion about what skills each one of you have and see what magic you can create. It's that simple. But we keep on working on our own. We keep on doing things on our own, and therefore we don't reach the masses, and therefore we burn out. So get yourself a team. Get yourself a team this year and give your team 80% of the stuff you do. All that time you spent on Canva, all that time you spent on social media, all that time you spent scrolling, all that time you spend doing all these things, become the master of your destiny and hand over what you do to a team. That's the first part of the formula. The second part of the formula is technology. There's now a software for everything. There's now an AI for everything. Your AI can design things for you now. You don't have to sit there for hours anymore. If you're on Canva, you can go to Canva now and say, hello, Canva, please design me this, and it will do it for you in seconds. You just need to learn how to brief it better. The idea is not for technology to eat us up or take us over. The idea is for you to be the brain that use technology as an enabler so that you have your time back, so that you don't burn out, and so that you can evolve spiritually more. It's not to turn you into something that's not human. You know, whether the technology is AI or whether the technology is an Excel sheet, technology is technology. And I mean, we're talking now at the moment about AI. Next, we're going to talk about augmented reality. And then we're going to talk about something else. You know, it's just going to keep on evolving. You're the boss. This is just an enabler. We're using technology right now. If it wasn't for this technology, you wouldn't have been over here and have a moment to reflect. If it wasn't for technology and you connecting to Wi-Fi, you wouldn't have an opportunity here now to actually rethink the way you run your day. Because everyone talked to us about the way we run our life. No one talked to us about how we run our day. But it's our days that ultimately is going to make up your life. So you need to get in charge of your days if you want to get in charge of your life. Otherwise, you're just going to become a person who's reacting to what everyone else wants you to be. And so a way to start creating that space in your day is the 2 T's, to get a team and to get technology. Otherwise, you're just going to burn out. What you're doing as a solopreneur, for most of you, is not sustainable. It's not only sustainable from a business or commercial point of view, it's not sustainable from a psychological point of view, from an emotional point of view. It's not sustainable from a physical point of view. And you're not going to achieve the impact that you want to achieve because you take no time using your brain. You take time doing stuff, running through a task list. That's it. It's that simple. So what I'm talking about here is distraction is destruction. The more you're going to get distracted, the more you're going to self-destruct. So the illnesses that we see, the relationship issues, the fact that you're alone, that you're not making quality time for partners, the exhaustion at the end of the day, it's because you're just reacting to what other people require from you. Many of you have used Rescue Time and is aware of Rescue Time. Rescue Time is a tool that people install on their computers to actually see how much time goes to what. And Rescue Time says after they've analyzed millions of hours, you can't make this stuff up. These people, this is not a thumb suck. They've looked at millions of people. They say the most productive of employees are productive 2 hours a day. We're not even employees, we're entrepreneurs. Can you imagine what a disaster that is? Can you imagine what that looks like? We are not focusing our attention. And so the only way you're going to focus your attention is to raise your awareness. The only way you're going to raise your awareness is to get to the point where you really create that bubble in the beginning of your day, and you close your day with another bubble and reflect. If you're not doing that, you're just a chicken on a treadmill. Someone is putting you on your treadmill and you're just going, you're just putting it on something. It's on like a band that runs fast. You just place on that every morning and you go, you just flat against the wall constantly, as opposed to standing still in center. And it's something that I'm passionate about right now. I don't think we as a human species understand the level of change that we are at the precipice right now. So this is sort of, for me, the moment that you've prepared for all your life. This, for me, is the reason why you've went on to spiritual quests. This is the reason why you became an entrepreneur. This is the reason why your gut instinct led you to this moment, to this presentation, to the circle of excellence. To remember who you are, not fall for the distraction, and focus on what you came here to do. Now, you can have the best intentions at heart from an ideological point of view. If your day is not structured and aligned with that purpose, you're still a chicken on a treadmill. You're still busy. That's the problem. You're busy. You're not meant to be busy. You're meant to enable other people and enable software to be busy, because if you're not doing that, you're still in it, whereas you want to be out of it, unless it's fueling you, unless it's, for example, you're coaching people because it's rewarding and it's enriching. But, how many of you are coaching people and it's rewarding and enriching, but 80% of the day you're invoicing, you're building websites, you're building funnels, you're programming, you're developing, you're coding, you selling, you presenting, you're doing the things that you didn't come here to do. So, and in the process of you not handing these things over, whether that's to a technology or to a team, you are keeping incredible valuable skills that you've learned over a lifetime from people who can benefit. So you're cutting off your ability to pay things forward and thereby creating karma. So it's an interesting way to look at it, isn't it? It's an interesting way to look at it. So what I'm saying is that you actually got a choice. You've got a choice in terms of how you're going to continue with this. Are you going to continue to run an automated system, or are you going to live your life differently and think? You're not thinking. You're doing. You're just going off a to-do list. How many of you work on a to-do list? How many of you stand up in the morning and then you go, here's my to-do list. This is the stuff I have to do. Who does that? Who can be honest that they work with that?
Mm-mm.
Do you just wing it? You just go, I feel, do you use your gut? What do you do? No one's going to say.
Yes, I definitely have a Trello board, which is like my to-do list.
Confessions of a Monet Clay.
I'm sure there's more people. It can't just be me.
I have every single productivity app and to-do thing under the sun, and none of them get used. When I get up in the morning, I wing it. Big time.
And I think that's how we train to do it. I don't think there's something wrong with any one of us. I just think, we were trained to perform. That's how the education system is set up. That's why it really touches me and Mike deeply to be going to places like the schools in India that we now visited and talk to the students and see how they trained for the future. And you can see with the students, they feel intuitively something is wrong with the educational system. They are set up to plant outcomes as opposed to plant energy. Now, there's nothing wrong with outcomes because outcomes give us results, but you will not achieve the desired outcome if your day starts with, I have to achieve this, as opposed to, I have to plant the following energetic seeds first. So if you plant a strong foundation energetically every single morning, then the outcomes become easier because then you start thinking of things like, for example, you wake up, you go, oh gosh, I've got 1,000 things to do today. That's what we say to ourselves, right? Bless you, Shazar. You say, I've got 1,000 things to do today. Now, once you've said that to yourself, you go, you jump in the pool. Now you swim. You get to the end of the day, you're exhausted. You eat the wrong food, you go to bed, repeat. That's reactive. The proactive way of doing would be to say, let's just get up and plant energy into the system. So depending on your beliefs, let's align our chakras. Okay, we balance, right? Let's do a little bit of exercise. Okay, I'm not feeling that stiff anymore. Okay, let me have a breakfast and relax. By the time you've done that for an hour, you go, jeepers, nothing is really important but this thing, because one, I really enjoy it, doing it. Two, I'm creating something at the moment. I'm loving every moment of it. But because your awareness has been raised now, you go, this I'm not going to do anymore. This I'm going to not do anymore. This is a total waste of my time. I shouldn't be doing this. And you start setting your business up. You go, this is something a virtual assistant should do. This is something I should just get a person for. This is something a student can do. And you start building your own team around you. And now more than ever, we can build teams around you. We were already able to do it. It's not that it's an AI thing. I mean, you can go and deal with people. But what I find many times with entrepreneurs, all of us, it's not that you can't find teams. It's that you're avoiding people. You may be not that skilled in deal making. You've got trust issues. You don't want to train other people because it's wasting your time. You're not really a team player. Do you see it? It has to do with your own personal development and spiritual evolution. The fact that you sit and doing everything on your own is not because there's not options available to you. It's that you never create the space to, one, critically think about what you're doing, two, activate your gut, which you can argue is your intuition. You can argue it's your third eye, whatever floats your boat. Open for comments. Yes, Shazar.
Yeah, I have a to-do list, but it seems to me that what happens is, like, if I'm journaling and I think of something, I think, oh, well, I need to do that. And I write it on my list. It's out of my head. I don't have to think about it anymore. And it's not like I go through my to-do list and I have to do that, I have to do that, I have to do that. But what happens for me is that when I've done something, I can go, yeah, I did that. And it's sort of like a tick for me. It's like a pat on my back. That's my result. So I don't feel like a to-do list stresses me out. It's more out, it gets it out in the material universe. I don't have to keep it in my head that, oh, I need to pay that fine, or I need to, whatever that is. That one was top of the list. I just had a big traffic fine. But it just puts it out of my head so I don't have to think about it. So in that way, I find a to-do list is actually quite useful.
I think, Shazar, you've come to do blocking very well, and that's maybe why it doesn't bother you that much. You spend time in your garden, you block time out to ground you. It's in me understanding you become so essential in your life that you don't run, because that's what I like to call it. You're not running a to-do list at the detriment of your mental health. You've learned balance, you've learned about nature, you've learned about grounding. That, unfortunately, is not the reality for most people, especially at the end of the year. So blocking means, if you want to run a to-do list, run a to-do list. But what many people do is that's all they do. They just run a to-do list. They don't have time they don't plant energy. They don't take time to journal. They don't put boundaries around music. They don't go and spend 15 days of quality time with their loved one. They don't do those things. They literally eat, sleep, and breathe a to-do list and nothing else. And you don't do that. James, you have your hand up.
Landi, AI does not have human intuition, and that makes us very different from AI. And now that we live in the age of Aquarius, which is the time for big change, and I'm so glad that you bring the astrology and the spirituality into the business sphere. But for us to function better in future, we have to operate with human intuition and listen.
Yeah.
So we must move away from the to-do list and works what will improve our human intuition. Now, for me, it's meditation and heart-brain coherence, and for you, it's dancing. And I'm so glad you talk about that too, because there's a different recipe for us to maximize our human intuition. And I think we all have to go back and redefine our human intuition and how to maximize our human intuition and start really operating from that angle to make our lives more successful and intentional and to live a full life.
I can't agree more with you, James. And I think that's why I have this slide up here, because I think all this distraction is destroying our intuition. It's destroyed because we don't give space for that intuition to breathe and to tell us, this is probably what you should be focusing on. This is who you are. This is what's important. Don't lose focus. You know, even something like a to-do list. You know, I have a problem if you've got a to-do list with 500 items, but you focus on one of them and you do it well. But I think with all this distraction, you have a person with 700 arms doing everything at once. And then you basically end up going nowhere slowly. And you don't think. You don't think and you don't feel, both of them. You don't think, you don't feel. Because, I mean, with the emphasis on intuition, people don't talk about thinking. People just talking about following us gut, but people also not using their brains, because the to-do list become a system that runs them as opposed to the other way around. Very well said. We got Andrea's hand up here as well. And then Jana.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Landy. So I would like to share, first of all, thank you for all the information. I would like to share that, and I would love to hear your thoughts, that I don't like technology so much. So I do whatever it's necessary, only what is necessary. For example, I learned Zoom during COVID because I had to do it. And even now, when you say raise hand, I don't know how to raise hand in the Zoom. But what I do is I have a staff that is very technological and knows the stuff. So, for example, if I'd like to use AI, I do it through other people. For example, if I'd like to make presentation, I prepare the notes and then they prepare the slides with AI. So I don't like knowing much about technology, you know. So I focus on what I do best, which is negotiate and talk and write, and I use other people to do it. Even if it means I spend lots of money on stuff, but it allows me to do whatever I feel good. So what do you think about it?
Smart man. That's what I want to say. Andrea.
Thanks.
Hi, Landy. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Oh, great. Hey, g'day, everyone. I'm from Brisbane International Airport. Apparently, I'm catching up with you guys on Friday in Auckland, so looking forward to that. There was something you actually taught us last year, and that was around close the loop. And that is a philosophy that we have taken on wholeheartedly in my company, where we actually sit down and rather than talk about what have you got to do, it actually comes down to what have we got to close the loop on. And what's been really interesting is we shifted offices. So we gave up our office lease, moved everything back to my apartment at the end of last year. And it's worked out brilliantly because we're in a very small room. And what we've learned, and we love working together. We've all been working together now for about 3 or 4 years. But one thing I have noticed since we've come back together into a small bedroom, and that is we pick up on the energy dips that each other is feeling. And because we pick up on those energy dips, and it was quite fun, this happened a couple of weeks ago where Sebastian was typing away furiously next to me, and then next minute, silence. And I kind of looked over, and there he was sort of nodding off in the chair. And so I gave him a bit of a nudge and I said, hey man, you need time out. So why don't you go and plonk yourself on the couch and the like. We have the cricket here in Australia. So went through the cricket on the TV, and there he was, feet up on the lounge, watching the cricket, getting rejuvenated. So the power of team is really important because there is that energy transformation that happens, not transaction, but transformation that takes place. when you're allowing yourself, and this is the big thing I feel, and that is it's about allowing yourself to go there. It's giving yourself the permission to take that next step for you, whatever it may be, for whatever it is you wish to achieve. And just in regards to technology, we love our technology in my company. We've all got ChatGPT.
Yeah.
All of us have got a name. So Telia's one is called Atlas, and that's how she communicates with her chat. She calls them Atlas, and they have great conversations. Elisa calls hers Newton after Isaac Newton. My chat's called Albert, A. Einstein. And
Nice.
Sebastian took a really interesting approach. He had a conversation with his chat and said, I'd like to call you by a name. And his chat came back and said, oh, giving me a human name, like giving me a name is just so human. Let me think about it. So the chat decided to call himself Archie. And so when pushed upon what kind of personality are you, he came back with, I don't know if you remember Archie Andrews and Jackie Jones. They were comics from the 80s and the 90s. So for us, technology is an integral part of how we operate. Technology is not something separate from us. Our AI is integral to how we communicate. It's integral to how we exist as a company. And so for us, they are just equally as much human for us as people who eat, sleep, and breathe.
I love that, Andrea. I think, and I almost want to say with respect from the horse's mouth, you're already integrating it in your team. You're already making it part of your lives. I think we at a time of unprecedented change. So for me, it's not just running the to-do list or coming to terms with the technological changes. It's keeping yourself as grounded as possible during this time so that you can embrace the change. What I love about you, Andrea, is that a company that specializes in technology and software from a marketing perspective has at the same time huddled their team together in one place. Isn't that a beautiful example of how the two are integrating? So you're not letting everyone sitting remote. You're bringing them all together, looking after each other, and then embracing technology as a tool. That's how it could work. Team and technology, classical example of the time formula, team and technology. Thank you, Andrea. Claire, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to share a little story actually that totally reflects on what you've been saying, because it's so absolutely true in terms of, the to-do list taking over everything else that you can, I don't want to say achieve in a day, but someone had posted just now about what leads them into their intuition, and I'm pretty much psychic. But when I get creative, that's when my intuition starts going. So yesterday morning I woke up and I looked around the bedroom that I've just designed because I've moved, and I didn't like it at all. So I decided to redo everything. And I climbed in there before tea, before breakfast. I hauled up this onto that and put this there and was going, oh, that looks so nice. That looks so nice. And as I was doing that, I had a little situation with my washing machine fitting that just, I couldn't get the tap to turn to do water. We had the owner supposed to be coming round. He didn't pitch, he didn't contact me. And through my getting creative yesterday morning, because I'd been thinking, do I contact the managing agent? Do I? It was that energetic, as you were saying, setting the energetics for the day. And while I was creating, my intuition kicked in and went, you know what, I just feel that there's someone here in this complex who will be able to help me. It's going to be so much easier. And I could put a picture of the fitting on our flat group here. I'm going to go out. So I just took a trip out with my phone. And as I got downstairs, I'm 40 steps up. The main gate opened and in pulled in a car, and out got a guy. And I just said, excuse me, can I show you a picture? Do you live here and everything? And he said, well, I'm going upstairs, and it turns out we live next door to each other. So he came in and he just turned it up and he said, I needed a wrench to turn mine on. That's how stiff it was. Done. 5 minutes. And that for me was just a lesson in manifesting. It's those energetics in the morning that It's not just the to-do list, but it's what you want to manifest in the day or in your week, or that requires that time to just put it out there energetically. And often what comes your way is just truly surprising. So I thought I'd just share that.
Claire, thank you. That is a classical example. I'm so glad you brought it up, because you may be sitting here day in and day out grinding. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with working hard. I'm a big fan of work hard, play hard, right? So that's not the point. But what Claire is saying here for me is so poignant, because you may be sitting there day in and day out, working yourself literally to death. Your energy is flat, so people are not attracted to you. Whereas if you do plant the energy every single morning, you do the work that you can with boundaries and discernment around it, and you basically review your day at the end of the day to create that awareness, you show up at that networking event or business breakfast in a way where you meet that person who wants to merge with your company, and you 10 times your income. That's how important this stuff is. Andrew, are you having your hand up, or is it from the previous one? All right, okay. So on that note, my esteemed friends, if there's any last comments, we still have 4 minutes left. Is there anyone else who want to share something, or want to change something, or just contribute something to the group? Or anyone who might be at an aha moment and they want to really go and rethink and re-feel the way they run their day? Ding, 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 ding. Is there anyone who's going to do the top in the morning?
No, all good.
No one want to do the club. Okay. Anyway, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. I do think this year I'll probably come up with a few different stuff, but I do think from time to time I'll run through these series of skills, because it's not really stuff that I usually talk about with any of our clients necessarily, because this is the type of stuff I usually keynote about. When we speak to corporates and people who sit at executive positions and want staff members who operate at an excellent level. But because it's so timely, I will definitely start touching on these and what it can mean for you and your business. Not only from a mindset perspective, but as ways to, accelerate you, scale you. And I think probably one of the most important commodities in the time we now have, peace of mind. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or evening, wherever you are. And I'm looking forward to our next chat, whenever that may be.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Landi. Be well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Who's left? I just want to say boo.
Sorry, Landi. I think it's me, and I'm trying to get out of here.
That's fine.